Here's why Catholics believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old. The age of the Earth is a scientific question, not a theological one. In fact, the Catholic Church has no official teaching on the Earth's age. So you're free to believe that it's 6,000 years old or 4.5 billion, as long as you don't deny that God is the creator. To be clear, most Catholics, including myself, believe the Earth is around 4.5 billion years old based on archaeological evidence and radiometric dating. However, the other day, I was scrolling on Instagram and I heard this really interesting argument for creationism that kind of blew my mind. So Adam and Eve weren't born from the womb. Adam was made from dust and Eve is ripped. Presumably, they appeared as fully grown adults. Let's say they looked 30 years old. Now, if you ran blood tests or just looked at them, biologically, they'd seem 30. You would never know they were created yesterday. Now, here's the big question. What if the Earth is the same case? What if God created the world 6,000 years ago, but designed it to look old? Fossils buried deep beneath the Earth, layered rock formations, and starlight that seems to have traveled billions of years, all part of a universe that appears ancient, but was actually instantiated recently. Besides undermining thousands of years of observable history, some argue that young Earth creationism also conflicts with God's character, because it implies that he designed a world intending to mislead us. In other words, makes God a liar. But there's a few problems with this. Next, it's also unjustifiable. You can't prove it's wrong because the claim lies outside the bounds of science. If all evidence can be dismissed as part of an illusion, then evidence itself becomes meaningless. That said, the Catholic Church doesn't rule out all forms of creationism, but it does set boundaries. For example, in his 1950 encyclical Humani Generis, Pope Pius XII affirmed that Adam and Eve were real, historical individuals, not mere symbols. They were created in a unique way, and they are the true parents of the human race. At the same time, due to the poetic and theological nature of Genesis, Catholics are not required to believe that Adam was literally formed from dust or that Eve was literally taken from his rib. These can be understood as symbolic, as long as the essential doctrines are maintained. So yes, it's possible to harmonize Genesis with evolution. In fact, it's possible Adam and Eve were born from the womb, and even if they weren't, their miraculous creation doesn't mean the entire Earth was made in an instant. At the end of the day, I could be wrong, but hey, it doesn't affect your salvation.